Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to go over Marvel's New Universe Cyforce number 14. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color comic book that I produce every month. It's 12 pages, and it's got backup stories by different people like Paul Corjon or Chris Knox. And this or last month's cover was by Jeremy Duncan, and I like to do a little indie comics creator highlight kind of thing, and shows you, gives you his background and where you can get his comic books and stuff like that. And so you can check these out on patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, and or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com. And you can check out that and Mutandis and all of my other older comics that I've done previously. This is actually a reprint of the volume 1, number 10, but this is colorized. And like I said, we're up to issue number 32, which will be coming out sometime this month. And it's rotating stories of different storylines: Cyrene, Queller, Death Knights, all kinds of different stuff. You can also check these out at AlexTurbin0441 at Instagram, or AlexTurbin0441 at Yahoo, which is my email. And I truly appreciate all of the support that you guys give me. So now on to the New Universe. This is the finale of, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, go and vote. This week's poll is on Todd McFarlane versus Erik Larsen. And so far, Erik Larsen is winning. I really did not expect that. I think maybe it's a little bit of angstiness that people have against McFarlane. I might be wrong about that. Maybe people do genuinely like Larsen's art a little bit more. I'm more of a McFarlane fan. But go to the poll and check it out, and let us all know who you like more, Erik Larsen or Todd McFarlane. So let's delve into Cyforce. This is the final book of the New Universe that we're going to look at. We've looked at what have we looked at? Night Mask. We looked at Super Pro. We looked at Spitfire and the Troubleshooters. We looked at Starbrand. We looked at DP7 and was Merc. So I think there was 7. So I think there's 7 of them, and this is the last one, Cyforce. I never got this back in the day. I think I got number 14 because I was either, I believe that this is Texiera. Maybe it's not. I thought that this was Mark Texiera's art. I might be wrong now that I'm looking at it, but I think this is Mark Texiera's art, but it says Lil X. Mark, does that say Mark X? I can't see what that says. I don't know if his other work had been out, so I was a fan of his already, or I just like the cover because I like his art, or what. But I'm quite sure that's Mark Texiera. He is one of my favorite artists. Obviously, he's fantastic. And but I didn't get any Cyforces when they first came out, and that hence the number 14, which is really when they started to peter out. Most of the issues were canceled, after the first year or shortly after the first year. Some of them, if not all of them, had annuals. I might look at some of those, but I kind of don't think I'm going to. But after reading this, I just read this and I really enjoyed it. I think I might have enjoyed this. I would say, ranking them, I would say Starbrand is my favorite, simply because I like the John Romita Jr. art so much. He's one of my favorite artists. And then DP7, and then, Justice. I forgot about Justice. So there's 8 of them. And so on. So, I mean, I just didn't get it. I don't know why. Why didn't I pick up all of the New Universe titles? I think I felt like I had to be selective, and that I shouldn't just be wasting my money on 75 cents. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're in high school or junior high, whatever, because this came out in 87. So I was, not even in high school, I don't think. Yeah, no, I was leaving junior high and getting into high school. But 75 cents even at that time was it was a lot for a kid anyway. So I felt like I had to pick and choose. I chose mostly on artist, sometimes on character justice, sometimes on storyline that I thought the characters looked cool in the DP7. I kind of like the big burly guy and the astral projection guy and stuff like that. And I kind of enjoyed the stories as they went along. Um, so I never got this, and then I must have picked it up just because I like the cover. That's the only reason I can think of, or maybe I picked it up I don't think I picked it up recently, but anyway, it starts out with some moving guys, and they're delivering a refrigerator to this homeless kids shelter, and apparently that's where they live. And I don't have any kind of clue about these characters. I don't know anything of their situation. But as they go along, before he used to say, "This is Mackie and Tom DeFalco." I don't know if they changed where they would have the introduction of the characters and everything on the first page. I kind of wish they still did that on every comic book, because Jim Shooter was right. Every comic book could be somebody's first comic book. So an introduction page is, I think, essential for any comic book. This, we have it's like they do that in TV shows. Every TV show has a recap of the previous show. So why not do that with comic books in some fashion whatsoever? But they didn't really have to do that, because as the story progresses, they reintroduce the characters, they reintroduce the story, and they reintroduce the plot and all that stuff. So that's really kind of interesting and cool way to do it. I do like that a little bit better, but a beginning intro, might have been nice. So they're delivering this refrigerator to this wayward school, homeless kids. I guess this story is super New Mutants. It's super what is that show with on Hulu with the kids who their parents are I can't remember it now. Anyway, the Runaways. I think that's what it's called, the Runaways. Super runaways. They're in a homeless shelter. They don't really have anything to go through. It's very DP7. They were escaping, although I don't think they have some sort of big like the doctors or the psychiatric ward that's after DP7. I don't think they have any kind of agency that's after them, but they went through some kind of stuff that happened with their powers. They all have psychic powers. That is kind of shown here a little bit. One of the things that I do know is that Kyle Baker is the inker, and he is one of my favorite artists. I say that about so many artists, but he is a really fantastic artist. I love his stuff on the Shadow, and I really like his inking. His inking it does go over the original pencils, but with the inks, but he also adds a little bit of his own flair to it, and he doesn't do it he doesn't overly do it like Bill Sienkiewicz or a lot of people. They overdo their own style, and you're like, why didn't you just draw the thing too? But he does a fantastic job. I really think this is a fantastic job inking by Kyle Baker, and the pencils are pretty good too, because the narrative art is perfectly good. I might talk about that a little bit as we go. But there's a lot of internal strife and chaos within the group. It's going to be kind of hard, but because I don't know the characters. And so they're going to paint their rooms. Let's just start there. Some company donated a bunch of paint to the homeless shelter or the kids homeless shelter or whatever this is, and they're allowed to paint their own rooms whatever colors they want. And so one of them, I guess these two bullies or something, accidentally on purpose spill paint on this kid's jacket. He's one of the Cyforce kids, and he kind of attacks them and freaks out. But then he kind of he cools down a little bit, and then there's a lot of internal monologues or dialogues between the other characters, where they're just talking to each other like they're friends. They know what's going on. but nobody else does. Kind of, they have a secret and stuff like that. That's why they talk in a lot of hushed voices. So they go back to one of the rooms and they're talking about some of the things that have happened previously. There were 5 of them, I guess, and when they 5 of them got together and something happened, some sort of catastrophe or whatever, whenever they needed help, the 5 of them could summon this guy who is Psyhawk. They gave him a name, Psyhawk, which is, I really wish that I had read this from the very beginning in issue number 1. Like, who is Psyhawk? Although I'm sure they don't say actually who it is. I'm sure it's a mystery. Anybody that knows, do they later on explain who Psyhawk is, where he comes from? He looks Native American, but I don't know. So if anybody out there is a big fan of Psyforce or anything like that in the new universe, please clue me in a little bit on Psyhawk and their abilities. So anyway, there were 5 of them, and then another one found his way into the group, and whenever 6 of them summon Psyhawk, which must be like a combination of all of their not only their abilities but their psyches and stuff, kind of like not Overpower. What's his name? Onslaught. Kind of like Onslaught is Xavier and Magneto. Psyhawk is probably just a combination of all of their characters and all of their psychic abilities and all of their psyches as well. So when you have 6 of them, he has too many conflicting ideas and emotions and stuff, so he goes kind of crazy. So one of them actually left the group, and they are trying to find him. One of them in particular is really trying to find him, and he's scouring the city, scouring the landscape, looking for him. And the way he does that is by using his astral projection and leaving his body. So that's one of the things that they're talking about as they're entering the homeless school or whatever. They're saying that they're trying to find this Tyrone Jessups, and he's the one that's off looking for this other character in his psychic form, his astral form. And so that's what they're using the refrigerator to do. They're going to steal his body, because, and then they'll explain that later on, but it kind of leaves that, like, that's going to happen. They keep talking about Tyler and Tyrone and where can they find him and what they're going to do and stuff like that. So then it just kind of goes to another panel page where they're talking about their powers, and they're talking about their previous iterations of what they were doing and stuff. One of them falls on a skateboard, and the other one uses her powers to save her, and they're just kind of showing off their powers, showing off their characters and stuff. So it really doesn't have anything to do with any kind of bigger storyline, which is, very X-Men-ish, very New Mutants, Claremont-ish kind of thing to do, which maybe that's why I enjoyed reading it so much. But Tyrone starts flying back, and somebody who has seen him previously sees him again, and she's trying to tell somebody. She calls somebody, maybe it's the government or something, that he's back, this invisible boy. But he's not really invisible. You can kind of see him. I'm assuming that it's not like an astral projection like Doctor Strange or Xavier, where they leave their body and they're in the spirit world or spirit form. You can actually see Tyrone in a wispiness, kind of maybe like what's his name from Power Pack, who has his smoky projection body. So he flies around, and he realizes his body's gone. But there's a note, and he's supposed to go to this room, 8001 Polk Street, in, I don't know where they are. I'm not entirely sure where they are. But he goes there. There's a TV. It comes on, and there's this guy in this mask, and he tells him to look at the other monitor, and his body is there, and they have guns on him. And the guy explains to him that he's a spy. He's like a corporate spy, and he's trying to get secrets from other companies, and he wants him to sneak into a meeting and find out what's going on. So he tells him to listen to exactly what's going on in the meeting. If you don't, I'm going to shoot him. And at first Tyrone doesn't want to do it, and he refuses, but then they're like clack and kind of threatens him to do it, and he freaks out thinking, yeah, if my body dies, my astral projection will die as well. So he takes off, um, and then it goes. This is a little bit jarring, but it's kind of okay because it gives you all the background on the villain. The villain takes his mask off, and he just kind of recounts how he found Tyrone and found his ability, where he was doing this corporate spy thing, and then he saw him, and he's been tracking him, and he knows where he's been, he knows where he's going, and he knows all about the kids in the school and all that stuff. So he knows all about it. Tyrone is trying to get some help from all of his friends, and he goes from person to person trying to get them to see him and figure out what's going on. He can't let anybody else see him because this is like a big secret. Of course, obviously, all of the new universe powers that they get is a big secret. They don't want to let anybody know. Just like kind of, I guess, real life. If you had superpowers, would you tell everybody? You might be keeping it a secret. So I don't know. One of the things, though, one of the big parts of the story is this guy. I can't remember what his name is. I can never remember any of their names except for Tyrone. He is the newest member of the group, and he's trying to prove himself to the group that he belongs. He deserves to be with them as a group, and so he's really trying to kind of angsty about and anxious about trying to prove himself and do whatever he can to be part of the group. He's also pretty much a hothead, so he's like the wild card of the group as well. And the other kid left because there can only be 5, there can't be 6. So they liked the other kid more, and so they're all having a hard time assimilating this new one into their group. And so they're just trying to figure out everything. And this new kid, he's just really trying as hard as he can, even though he is a hothead. So Tyrone tells them all this stuff, and they kind of formulate a plan on how to find his body. They're going to try to find the room that he was in, who rented the room from the building, and all this kind of stuff. So they go and they use their powers, and he uses his powers on the security guy or whatever, and to tell him who's renting the room. Tyrone goes all over the city looking for clues as to what's going on, and he finds an address and stuff, and they do find the person that did rent the room, but he doesn't do it in time, so he figures he has to go to this corporate meeting that the bad guy, the villain, wanted him to go to. And he does listen in on what they're talking about, and it's some sort of evil nerve gas that they are trying to get rid of. There's some sort of government agency, and they're trying to get rid of this evil nerve gas, and they're bringing it from one place to another place, and they're talking about how terrorists would want the nerve gas, or anybody in some other country would want it to do all kinds of dastardly stuff. And so he's like really freaked out, and he knows he can't tell the guy, the villain, all of this stuff, or he would use the nerve gas, or he would sell the nerve gas to a terrorist or something. So he's definitely not going to do that, but he's trying his best. And so he zips back, and they do find the guy's address that rented the room, and they bust in, and they're talking to him, and they eventually using their mental powers and stuff like that, because they all have mental powers, telekinesis, telepathy, and all this kind of different stuff, like using the astral projection. They're all basically X-Men, pretty much, or they're Xavier and Phoenix, Jean Grey, and any kind of telepath that's ever been with the X-Men. They have all of their powers. They eventually learn that the guy works for the corporate raider that was threatening Tyrone, and they figure out his name, and they figure out his address. But the hothead, before they can formulate a plan, the hothead has taken off, and he's going to go try to figure out a way to stop all this stuff. So what he does, he enters the mansion of the big bad guy, knocks out all of the security guards, the dogs, just like, because I think he can suck their life energy. I think that's his main power. So he busts in, and he sees the bad guy's wife and kid, and he starts waving this machine gun around. I don't know where he gets the machine gun. Must have been from one of the guards, I guess. He starts waving it around, tells them to call the big bad guy. The big bad guy's like, okay, I'll come. Just don't hurt them. So he's afraid for his wife and his kids. But the rest of Cyforce, they show up and they're like, what are you doing? This is not how you do it. But he tells the big bad guy to let the Tyrone enter his body, bring his body. And so he does. Tyrone does that. He goes back to his body, and then the big bad guy's like, all right, now this is done. Just take off. And the hothead is like, no, we're going to take these guys as hostage. It's to keep, make sure you don't come after us after we've left. But Tyrone, he's really a good guy. The rest of Cyforce really are just like superheroes, pretty much. They're kind of the most superhero-y of all of the characters in the new universe. Starbrand, maybe, because he's got such big powers. But these guys, they're really good and superhero-y. So they're just going to do the right thing no matter what. So Tyrone, he admonishes the hothead, and he's like, anything could have gone wrong. You could have shot one of the kids. They could have come in blasting with their guns. Anything could have gone wrong. We're going to formulate a plan, and you didn't listen to us. You didn't give us time. So, you're crazy. So this guy, he can control people's minds, their thoughts, and stuff like that. He gathers them all together and he erases their memories of Cyforce. And they really, then they kind of really go into it. And Tyrone really just smashes into him. He even punches him in the face, and he like throws him to the ground. And that's when the hothead reveals that he's really just trying his hardest to assimilate with the group, be worthy of being with the group, and and being friends with them and stuff like that. But Tyrone is just not impressed, and he's like, this is not the way to do it. You've really screwed up big time. And then they all just kind of leave. And the last few panels, I just wanted them to like me, to accept me, but I blew it. They'll never trust me now. And who can blame them? So that's basically how it ends. So I really did enjoy this. I really liked it. And I probably, if I do see these in the dollar bin, I am going to grab them. So as you know, that's automatically a 7. The art, I don't know how the penciler is. The writer is Danny Fingeroth. The penciler is Bob Hall. Inker is Kyle Baker. Colorist is Nell Yomtov. Letter is Joe Rosen. And Bob Badunski and Howard Mackey and Todd Mifalco are the editors. I really like the art. I know that it's mostly because of Kyle Baker, but I'm not going to crap on this Bob Hall either, because he put all the panels, he put all the characters down, he put all the panels, he did the backgrounds, and it all reads really smoothly. I never once had to backtrack. I knew exactly what was going on. I knew what character was talking. I knew that he was going from left to right. My eye moved along with the panels very fluidly and seamless, and I really enjoyed it. There was good when there was action, there was good action. There was good beginning, middle, and ends to action. When Tyrone is flying from place to place in his astral form, I really enjoyed that. The way his body moves and stuff like that, I really enjoyed that. Some of the stuff, I think that is the inker, Kyle Baker, like I said, kind of adding his own special technique too. I think the eyes in particular, the eyes and the nose and the mouth, the faces, I think are very Kyle Bakerish. You should check out The Shadow by Kyle Baker. If you haven't read any or seen any of his stuff, The Shadow is really cool. So I really enjoyed it. I did like the writing. It was seamless. Everybody had a really good voice. The dialogue was really, really good. There's a lot of words. It's a very tight knit story, and it's very capable. It's nothing revolutionary, but it was fun to read and enjoyable to read, and I really liked it. A couple of the things that maybe detracted a tiny little bit was just the villain's whole recap of how he figured out who Tyrone was and all of that stuff. That was a little bit maybe over the top, but I enjoyed reading it. Even that little tropey kind of thing. Reading tropes doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just sometimes it's over the top, or it's something that's done before. But if it's done in a quality fashion, then it's not really always a bad thing to read something that is very tropey. But like I said, I enjoyed it. There's lots of good action. There's lots of good emotion and everything like that. So I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely get some more. Would I get the whole series? I don't know. I probably will try to find number one, and we'll go from there, I guess, 2 and 3. So let me know what you guys thought of Cyforce. This is, like I said, the finale of the new universe. Maybe I will try to find some connections, but because I think there's a connection between the new universe and the Ultimates universe, and I will try to figure out the connection there, and maybe I will, if there's anything else out there, part of the new the Ultimates that connects with the new universe or something like that. Maybe I'll try to find that if there's new characters or old characters that they use in a different way. But I did enjoy it, and if you guys like the other new universe titles, yeah, I'm sure you would like the Cyforce. And if you like old Marvel stuff, then I'm sure you would like this too. It was a good fun read. Nothing, like I said, nothing too spectacular, but enough for me to want to read more. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. It might be too much to be giving an 8. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm going to give it a 7.5, but an enthusiastically good 7.5. Sometimes if you think something's awesome and then you read it and you don't like it or whatever, you're like, well, there's parts of it that I'm going to begrudgingly give it a 7.5. But this, I think I could go higher. I could go to an 8. And if I'd read other issues, I might have gone to an 8. But just reading the one issue, that's what I'm staying at. Let me know what you guys think, if you liked it, and what you think of the new universe overall in general. If you're new to the channel, this is kind of the stuff that I like to review. I normally do indie comics from the 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatever. I love indie black and whites or indie, just basically anything unusual. But I also love Marvel and DC, so I'm going to always go through something unusual or different from Marvel and DC. Maybe not just the everyday Batman or everyday X-Men or everyday Avengers or whatever. What? Actually, yes, I would do Everyday X-Men because they're my favorites. But other than that, this is the kind of stuff I do. And if you like it, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and all of that cool stuff. But even more than that, and a thumbs up. I always love thumbs ups from you guys. But more than that, I love the discourse and the dialogue and the conversations that start up from comic book readers and writers and creators and everything. So I just love to talk about comic books. So just leave a comment, and I would love that more than anything. So thanks for watching, and it's a Friday, so maybe we'll have something with Joe on Saturday or Sunday. Maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to be on the Turbo Pit Fighter live stream on Sunday morning at 10-ish. So check me out there with them. That's always a fun time. They're always a fun time. And we're talking about some projects that we're working on currently and in the future. So thanks for watching. And as always, keep on creating.